Hey everybody, it's Dave here from Dragonhill Games, and you're watching This Week in MTG Finance. As always, and before we get started, I want to thank MTG Stocks for allowing us to use graphical information for the purposes of this video. Before we get to our top 10 winners this week, I wanted to point out that I did a video last week called the top 10 safest investments in the reserve list. And one of my choices on that list, in fact it was in the number 7 slot, was Yavimaya Hollow. When I did the video last week, this card was sitting at $57.50, and there was still a decent supply of this card out there. If we head on over to eBay, the cheapest version of this card that's English, that's not heavily damaged, is over $100 shipped to your door. And over on Card Kingdom, they are completely out of stock at a listing price of $80. So I just wanted to point out that the cards that are on the list are cards I chose because they're great cards across multiple formats typically, but the number one criteria was those cards were all playable in Commander, and Yavimaya Hollow is a perfect example. All of the cards I talked about in that video are meant to be long-term investments. And even though Yavimaya Hollow is up another 57% this week over when I made the video last week, this is still a long-term investment for me. There is never going to be any more supply of these cards than there is today. So if that's a video that you think might interest you, then go ahead and check that out. I'll put it up here in the top right corner. All right, let's dive right into our top 10 list. And in the number 10 spot this week, we have Paradigm Shift from Weatherlight, currently valued at $35, and this card is up 85% this week. I really like this card long term because it has a unique effect. For just 2 mana, we have a sorcery that removes all cards in our library from the game, and then we shuffle our graveyard into our library. Currently seeing a lot of interest because of things like Thassa's Oracle, but a unique effect like this will definitely work well with a bunch of cards we see in the future. Taking up the number 9 spot this week, we have another card I really like for Commander, and that would be Terrain Generator. I've been pumping this card in my store for a long time. Just a really awesome card. It's a land that taps for colorless mana, but we can also pay 2 to put a basic land card from our hand onto the battlefield tapped. This particular dual decks printing is valued at $7.50, and it's up 88% this week. Obviously not a reserve list card, and the dual decks printings always carry a higher price tag than the original printings because of the low supply that the dual decks throw out into the market. You can get the original Nemesis printing for around $3, and that is obviously your best value for this card. Alright, and coming in at number 8, we have Rampaging Brontodon from Jumpstart, currently valued at $6.50, and this is also up 88% this week. Little known fact here, this is actually a reprint. It was originally thrown out there as a unique card in the gift boxes for Core Set 2019. Turns out those gift boxes were a terrible idea, and I can attest to that fact because they never sold in my store. I still have 2019 Core Set gift boxes sitting around in my store. But you could get this. There was one unique card in each color, and Rampaging Brontodon happened to be the green card for that. So since those didn't really sell and they wanted these cards out there, they threw it out there as a reprint in Jumpstart. Kind of a funky card, not really super great, but I could see it being played in maybe some monocolored sort of casual green type stompy deck. For 7 mana, we get a 7/7 trample, but whenever it attacks, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each land you control. So again, not the greatest card in the world for 7 mana. There's a lot better things you could definitely be doing with that amount of mana, but still kind of a cool card to play, especially in a casual mono green type stompy deck. And coming in at number 7, we have another reserve list card in Well of Knowledge from Weatherlight, currently valued at $5, and this is up 113% this week. It's another card I like both for its unique effect and long-term investment potential. For 3 mana, we're getting an artifact, and any player may pay 2 during his or her draw step to draw an additional card, and you can do this as many times as you choose. And obviously, this is another way to win with something like Labman or Jace. Our number 6 winner this week kind of boggles my mind a little bit, and that would be Chromatic Sphere from Jumpstart, currently valued at $3, and this particular printing is up 131% this week. You can pick up all of the other versions of Chromatic Sphere for under $1, so it sort of baffles me a little bit that this one's sitting around $3. I suppose it's because people think that maybe there's not going to be any more Jumpstart out there, so the limited availability of this particular printing is driving this price. Now, I will say it was confirmed confirmed to me from Wizards this week, and I was talking to them directly, that there is going to be another wave of Jumpstart. I was unable to find out exactly how much supply is going to be in that wave, but there is more Jumpstart coming. So obviously I'm looking forward to having that in my store. There's a lot of really unique cards coming out of Jumpstart that a lot of people want for their decks, but Chromatic Sphere is definitely not one of them, and I would be leery about jumping in at a price like this. And right back to the reserve list with our number 5 winner, and that would be Weakstone from Antiquities, valued at around $9, and this is up 157% this week. I gotta say, I don't really like cards that aren't playable, and that's been sort of expressed in the past and in my most recent video about investing in the reserve list. Weakstone's 4 mana has kind of a lame effect. All attacking creatures lose 1 power, and creatures with power less than 1 deal no damage. So not super effective, gets almost no play in Commander. It's only the fact that this is on the reserve list that is keeping this price afloat. Coming in at number 4 this week, we have Guiltleaf Archdruid from Morningtide, currently valued around $18.50, and this is up 200% this week. Not exactly sure why, to be honest with you. I headed over to EDH Rec. Doesn't seem to be an uptick in the amount of decks that are playing this. It's played in less than 1% of decks, and for a card that's not on the reserve list, that's not really a great showing. This card has been stagnant for a long time. Now, it is the only printing. There's not another printing of this, and Morningtide is a low open set in comparison to a lot of other sets from that era. So that may have something to do with this. I'd be leery of a reprint on this card at some point, and the price at that point would probably crash. It's got a unique effect in that you can tap 7 untapped druids you control to gain control of all lands another player controls. And whenever you play a druid, you can draw a card. So really cool if you could kind of build some sort of druid themed deck, although I don't really think that's entirely viable in Commander, at least in the current state. And our number 3 winner this week is Stormworld from Legends. Obviously, this is also on the reserve list, currently valued at $150, and this is also up 200% this week. At least this card has some playability. I mean, you could definitely build around this card. You get an enchantment for 1 mana, and if any player has less than 4 cards in hand at the end of his or her upkeep, Stormworld deals 1 damage to that player for each card in their hand less than 4. So definitely could be built around in something like Commander. And our number 2 winner is up 396%. That's right, it's Singing Tree from Arabian Nights, currently valued at almost $650 for a 4 mana 0/3 Singing Tree that taps to reduce an attacking creature's power to 0. Interesting card. I'm sure it could have some fun effects, especially as a trophy piece for your casual green Commander deck. And this card is definitely in low supply, being a rare from Arabian Nights. And our big winner this week, get ready, is Apocalypse Chime, up 1,858% to $14.50. This card was just 75 cents a few days ago, folks. That's right, it's up 1,858%. Please do not throw any money at this card. In fact, if you have some of these kicking around somewhere, geez, dig them out of your closet and list them on eBay. Hopefully someone buys it from you. 2 mana, we get an artifact, and you can pay 2 and sacrifice it to bury all cards from the Homelands expansion. Terrible, terrible card, reserve list card. Just like Golgothian Sidelix from last week, these cards that affect all cards from a certain type of expansion are never ever going to see any meaningful play, but they're easy buyout targets. And that's exactly what has happened here. All right, before I get to cards I'm investing in this week, as always, if you're a subscriber, you know I want to thank you for being here. I really appreciate your support. And if not, now's a great time to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I post at least 2 videos every week. And if you're looking for a way to support this channel, our online marketplace is now active. You can find your favorite board games, role-playing games, fantasy miniatures, and of course, all the awesome MTG products and accessories. Thank you very much for checking out our online marketplace at www.dragonhillgames.com, and you can find the link for that in the description of this video. Now, I know I've mentioned this one in a couple of videos before, but I just wanted to stress this out one more time. Obliette from Double Masters is an awesome card. Yes, it's an uncommon, so there's a fair bit of supply out there, but even with all of that supply, it's still holding steady at uncommon at around $4.50. If we head over to eBay, you can't find one for under $5, and there's only a couple at that price, and it quickly goes up into the $6-7 range. The first foil on here is $9.50, and yes, these are Canadian prices I'm showing you, but the foil over here is $7.50, and of course that would be the American price. I think Obliette is destined to be a really expensive card going forward. I can see this easily being a $10 card barring any reprints in the very near future, and the foil should be in the $15 to $20 range. So if you haven't got your hands on any Oubliettes, now is definitely the time to pick them up, especially if you just need it for your own personal collection. All right, I'm going to head right into our value pick for the week, and then I've got a double shot of spec plays for you. So let's talk about our value pick. And remember, these are cards that aren't necessarily great investments at this price, although I do think Allosaurus Shepherd is going to continue to climb. But they're definitely cards that you should be picking up right now if you need them for your personal collection. So Allosaurus Shepherd from Jumpstart. This is definitely one of the huge winners from the Jumpstart set. There was such a low supply of Jumpstart. Nobody got anywhere near what they ordered, so the supply just wasn't out there. Now we are getting a small restock from Wizards, and I did confirm that this week with Wizards. However, it's only going to be a small restock, and then there's no guarantees there's going to be any more Jumpstart product beyond that. Now, Allosaurus Shepherd will probably end up as a reprint somewhere down the line because it's going to be such a heavy hitter. I was actually talking with a couple of guys in my store this week, and one of them was saying he wouldn't be surprised if this card hit $200. And you know what? I can't say that I disagree with them. This card is just amazing in Commander, right? For 1 green mana, we're getting a 1/1. It can't be countered, and then green spells you control can't be countered. And then, of course, it has the 6 mana, turn all of your elf creatures into base 5/5 dinosaurs until end of turn. So just really awesome for Commander. Makes it so your stuff can't be countered. Super low cost in terms of mana cost. Obviously, this is a valuable card. So if you need one for your collection, I really don't think it's ever going to be any cheaper than this. All right, let's head straight into our spec plays for the week. So I got a couple for you. So let's start with our kind of regular speculation play, and that would be Bonder's Enclave from Ikoria Lair Behemoth. I really like this card for $1. It's in the rare slot. It doesn't enter the battlefield tapped. We can tap it for colorless mana, and we can pay 3 to draw a card. Of course, we can only activate this if we control a creature that has power 4 or greater. Really awesome for Commander, especially in those sort of big rampy type strategies that bust out a lot of big creatures really quickly. Having card advantage is always a great thing, especially in Commander. And last but not least, I've got a preview for you guys of a video I'm going to be doing in a couple of weeks entitled Top 10 Reserve List Spec Plays. So for this, I'm going to give you guys Flooded Shoreline from Vision. Reserve list card, currently valued at around $1.40, had an all-time high of around $5. This is actually a playable card, and cards that I consider for investments for future purposes, even if they are speculative type investments, they still for me need to be playable, and I do like if they are playable in Commander. So Flooded Shoreline could definitely be playable in the right type of control type Commander deck. For 2 mana, we're getting an enchantment, and then we can pay 2 and return 2 islands we control to our hand to return a target creature to its owner's hand. Could definitely make some use of this in certain control type Commander strategies, and $1.40 is a great time to be picking up. It's got a lot of future uphill potential. Okay, later this week, I'm going to be putting out a video on my top 10 value picks for reserve list investing. So if that's something that interests you, keep your eyes open for that. And if you like this video, go ahead and smash that like button. It really helps me out, and I'll see you guys again soon. Bye for now.